In today's video, we're going to be doing a recap of my first week post-show and lay out how I maintained progress after my second bodybuilding show of the year. Also going to recap and kind of recount the amount of weight I've lost and the progress I made in the whole contest prep diet and give you guys the exact macro and cardio targets I followed to get to 5% body fat. What's going on? Pro Physique Coach Ben Berluti here, and today we're going to cover my first week post show. Also kind of recap the 16-week contest prep diet and where I started at weight-wise, macro-wise, cardio-wise, and where I ended up at the depths of prep and by the time it was all said and done and all of that sort of thing, okay? So today I was also considering reviewing with you guys judges' feedback. However, I haven't received feedback from the second show I did yet. I reached out last week, so still waiting. So when I get feedback from the judges, then I will give a updated update for you guys at that time, and we'll talk about that. But for now, it's time for a little recap, okay? So I competed on Saturday the 9th. Today it's Monday the 18th of November. So a little over a week post-show, 9 days. What did I do after the show? Well, after the show, the morning after, I started it off with my incline walking cardio, okay? It was more important for me kind of mentally to get right back into the routine. I don't like taking time off or anything like that. But with my training, it had been about 5 months since I had done a deload week. My body needed it, I could tell. So I did a deload week in the gym, 5 days of training still, but my intensity was very low. I also did a recap last week discussing training, calories, cardio, whole prep recap with my coach and colleague Tyler Weeb in contest prep update number 5, which is on my channel, so go check that out. But for a more kind of like in-depth analysis and review of things. But today we're going to go over it in a little bit more of like a brief manner. But anyway, going back to the training, 5 days a week of training. Intensity was rather low. It was more to go through the motions, get a pump, but nothing to failure. No forced reps, training past failure, rest pause sets, anything like that. The focus during a deload week should be recovery, and it should require just a week, because if you're keeping intensity super high during a deload, hey, you're not really getting the benefit of that. It's just another week of training, right? Now, today I was back in the gym training hard, and it felt good, and it just feels good to be back in a regular routine, right? When you have a good workout afterwards. Now, last week I kept my cardio intensity the same, but again, training was much lower to allow for better recovery. Now, I want to go over the exact numbers, where I started on prep, where I ended up with macros, cardio, body weight, measurements, that sort of thing. So, I started prep July 1st of 2024, okay? I was weighing a 148.3 on average, consuming 377 grams of carbs, 184 grams of protein, 74 grams of fat on average, which is north of 2,900 calories. Started my deficit, and by the way, my waist measurement was 32 inches even. I measure around the belly button. It just gives me a constant spot to measure off of. Yes, technically you should measure around the narrowest part of your waist for the most accurate waist measurement, but I like keeping things constant as possible, okay? Started the deficit at 300 carbs, 60 fat, 185 protein. Cardio was 3 times a week. I was doing 20 minutes of incline walking 5 days a week, 6% incline, 3.5 miles an hour before starting prep, okay? When I started prep, went up to 10% incline on the treadmill, 25 minutes, 3 days a week, and then incorporated 2 elliptical sessions at a resistance of 10 and an incline of 15 for 25 minutes, okay? Pretty tough sessions, okay? So that's why we didn't want to do it every single time we did cardio. We wanted to manage recovery and both orthopedically, like with joint health, as well as just in general. This way I'm able to still train hard for those 16 weeks going into the show and not just burn out on cardio, right? Because you want the majority of your fat loss to come from eating less food, right? That's where we started things off at. At the end of prep, I was doing 4 incline walking sessions, 45 minutes each time, 10.5% incline, 3.6 miles an hour. That's pretty much the max I could do without really like leaning forward into the treadmill as I'm walking and then putting like strain on my low back. It's very tough. I'm dripping with sweat by the time I'm done. Is it intense cardio? No, because you can't do intense cardio for 45 minutes. You do intense cardio, the true definition of it, for 30 seconds. And that's everything you have. So it's not HIIT, it's moderate. The elliptical sessions, we got up to 30 minutes, 16% incline, 11 resistance. That's like the sweet spot for me. It's a good jog pace, and really it's just everything I got. It's definitely more intense than the treadmill walking sessions, but again, it's not HIIT. It's just like every minute of those 30 suck. So I don't know what we want to call that as. But it's definitely effective. I'm drenched with sweat when I'm done. I did those on my first 2 days of the week, so that way I knew, okay, Sunday is an off day besides cardio, but not weight training. Monday and Tuesday, I don't have enough energy to really push myself. And that way, later in the week, when I'm pretty much gassed, I just have treadmill sessions to do, right? So 6 days a week of cardio. Calories, macros got all the way down to 150 carb. Protein stayed the same at 185. Fats are at 45 grams a day with one refeed of 250 carb, 55 fat, and 135 protein. So we want to make extra room for those carbs and fats and keep protein more around my body weight. You may be saying, that's a lot of protein. I used to weigh 185 pounds, guys. I've been tracking my macros for a very long time, even at that point, so I've just always kept protein the same. The less variables that change during prep, the better, mostly for digestion. So we kept that the same, all right? So, I ended prep essentially November the 3rd, because that was a week post-show, and also a week before a show, because I competed in Georgia on the 26th of October, competed in Florida and Tampa on November the 9th. So I was like, okay, kind of like the end of prep, if you will, in terms of the prep diet, because we're just going into strictly a peaking protocol. It was essentially on the 3rd of November. And I was down to 29 and 2/16 on the waist, 134.8 on the scale. So I dropped 13.5 pounds on average during those 16 weeks. Guys, it takes time to lose body fat. And if you want to optimize your body composition, you really want to emphasize the point of losing weight slow. 1 pound a week, the leaner you get, is good. 2 pounds a week, if you lose more than that in a week, fabulous, right? Just don't be concerned if you have a week where the rate of weight loss is slow if you are very consistent. This past week post-show, I kept a lot of my foods the same. For example, my dinner during prep was chicken, rice, broccoli, olive oil, a little bit of sugar-free teriyaki sauce, 10 grams, which is less than half an ounce. My digestion was cool with all that. I just adjusted the serving sizes based on my macro and calorie needs each day, especially as things adjusted during prep. And post-show, hey, I was craving something a little bit different, so I kept all that the same, the chicken, the rice, broccoli. I turned it into a Tex-Mex Chipotle bowl, and I added a little bit of light sour cream, 30 grams of salsa, some black beans, and some lettuce over the top just to make it more like that Chipotle bowl. And that has been my dinner the past week. Was that a drastic change? No, right? It's just something a little bit different. I added salt and pepper to taste. I wasn't measuring out the sodium in a little, measuring spoons, a 1/16 of a teaspoon, so I could get all the sodium tracked to a T. No, okay, we don't have to worry about that post-show. But I didn't go down the road of doing something crazy where I'm having this crazy macro Tetris meal every single time I go to eat, okay? Because we want our digestion to be in a good place. You don't want to be ultra focused on food, right? This just allowed me to have something a little bit different, right? And that's just an example of that. Like, when you're in the diet, guys, a fat loss phase, eat foods you enjoy, just maybe we're eating a little bit less of them. Like, the quantities are a little smaller, right? That's going to help you stick to the process at a high rate of consistency, right? So that's something I have done in my fat loss phases to make progress. Also this past week, playing a little variation. Again, it sounded good to me, so I did it, and it helps me stick to the process once again. Feeling really good post-deload with my training. My first higher intensity session was this morning, so that felt good as well, and we're ready to rock and roll going forward. So I'm going to continue to give you guys some feedbacks in upcoming weeks, especially when I get judges' feedback. We're going to talk some more about the reverse diet process, post-show plans, all that sort of thing. Really appreciate you guys following along during the past 4 months, and I hope you guys have a great week. Talk soon.